for a bit. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time. I know last week we had a little bit of I had a little bit of delay on my end, so I haven't seen it pop up live just yet. I don't know, anybody else seeing it live? Yes, no?
My phone went off. Let me
checking
know
on my
that
phone right now.
on live. I'm in
Yeah, no, I just like it did the same thing last week, but then it like kind of corrected itself.
You've got gameplay going.
Do I? Okay, I just want to it's just kind of funny. Yeah.
Well, we're live.
Oh, we are live. Okay, so I'm just gonna
on my phone on the channel right now. I'm hearing us talk right now.
All right. Yeah, I see some guys in the chat, and it looks like we're ready to rock, fellas. Yeah, it's kind of weird with these notifications. What's up, everyone, and thanks for tuning in tonight. Welcome to the Xbox Roundtable Podcast. This is episode number 206, the place Sunday nights to just kick back with a cold one and listen to some Xbox talk. I'm your host, Invader, and it's great to have you all here. We've got lots to discuss tonight, and I mean tons. Xbox celebrated its 20th anniversary. We will dive into all that, all the different stuff announced, all the highlights. As well, the Game Awards have been announced, like the specific nominees for each category for the show. We'll go into that, along with some, I guess, interesting controversy for it. All that and a little more. But before we get into all that good stuff, let me introduce the fine chaps on the TXR panel. And I'll start off with my buddy, MLD. How you doing there, bud?
Hey, doing good. It's been a very busy week for us Xbox gamers here. Finished Forza Horizon 5, amazing game. But obviously you don't finish a game like that. There's always something more to do. Been playing the Halo Infinite beta, and the gameplay is so good. I haven't had this much fun playing a Halo game multiplayer since Halo 3. It just really brings back the nostalgia. And just playing some Game Pass games on the side, you know. I don't know if anyone's heard about it. Katamari. Just played that on Game Pass. Really good game. Easy achievements. So, yeah, let's get into it.
Amazing.
Oh, yeah.
One of the best hidden gems on the PS2. You get this one. And because this is the original, just remastered basically, and now We Love Katamari from the 360 exclusive is now backwards compatible. So
we have the disc of that from 360. That was amazing. So it's so cool. You start off as a football, and by the time you're done, you're rolling up mountains. It's so cool.
It gets ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah, Katamari is one of those games I haven't tried out, but I hear a lot of good things, so maybe one of these days.
Easy achievement if you're MS Rewards report person, because you get achievement for each like level, and you can knock out a level in like just a couple minutes. So.
Oh yeah, the game's 4 hours long, and I got 700.
Fun and easy.
Wow. Okay. Well, for you achievement hunters out there, go for it. Let's see here. Let's see. Shockley, buddy. Since you're talking at the moment, what's up? How you doing?
Not bad. Just been on that Halo multiplayer beta, or I guess it's still in beta, but having a lot of fun with that. Like that's the cool thing. Even I get the progression's a little grindy. Most of the time, I'm just having a ton of fun, and I don't even care what the stuff I'm getting, because in the Halo 2, Halo 3 days, that was pretty much it. Unless you wanted that Hayabusa armor, but other than that, it's like you weren't really checking too much about at least I wasn't, about a lot of the progression. You're more wanting to get a certain level of, like, I don't know if they do their whole ranking thing like they used to, but that's what people were trying to get to, like a certain high level and maintain it. But yeah, I've been playing a lot of that. I played Deb a little. Well, I played Forza the weeks before, but I've just been I'm just using that as kind of my casual game to go in between now that Halo's out. But definitely, hopefully they put some new maps, or not maps, but playlists, because you can't really select like traditional Slayer apparently, but that's been the only kind of downside, I would say, because if you want to play a certain match. You kind of just gotta do like quick play, or at least that's what I've been trying to do. Quick play, just getting in a match, because sometimes big team battle doesn't want to start for me, so you kind of just get the luck of the draw. But either way, been having a lot of fun with that one, and you're definitely excited. Dabbled a little bit when Shin Megami Tensei, but I haven't been able to get too deep into it yet. But yeah, definitely Halo's back, and we're only a couple weeks away from the campaign, so definitely excited that from all the previews that got released. So probably get into that later. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely have a few comments to say regarding the progression and the multiplayer beta, and I get it, it's still kind of in like its beta form. It's not like official yet, but since everybody's playing it, and I do think that there's a lot of fair criticism to go about with like the grindy progression, and well, just a lot of things related to progression, whether it be XP, not earning certain things, and so on. They seem to be addressing some things, but yeah, go ahead.
Oh, but the cool thing about it is it's not like the other Battlefield and COD games, or at least Battlefield. I don't play too much COD, because that stuff's grindy too. But in the past, and I think probably in this one as well, it's more like this is all cosmetic. Stuff that you have to grind for in Battlefield, not cosmetic. You're getting high-powered weapons that when you get this, like, oh, I got this certain weapon, and then this weapon like drops it. Like I think it was called the MTAR back in like Battlefield 4 days, and that thing would drop, like if in close quarters, thing would spit so fast you would drop somebody in seconds. And then when you get unlock certain attachments for it, for certain guns, that's just going to make your performance better with those guns. So this is all cosmetics. So I get that it's grindy, but you're not getting a performance boost like you are for people that put in a ton of hours in like Battlefield. They're going to destroy you until you get some of those high-powered guns. So at least there's not that advantage. You know, if someone, you know, you have to grind it out to get to the level of like somebody to, you know, be on equal footing. So there's that.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you. Well, at least with certain points. I would say though that it is still like a little underwhelming. Plus, like there's no like ranking progression system. I know that they said that they're going to be adding things later on, and I do get that. Like I am listening to 343 personally. It's just there's a lot of things that aren't there to start off with that just kind of like raise a few eyebrows and like I scratch my head at. But we'll have to wait and see. I mean, I would like to see a few more options when it comes to unlocks, you know, for, you know, just like different progression. But again, we'll wait further down the line, and maybe when it like the game officially releases in December, we'll have like a lot more. But again, I'm willing to give them the benefit of doubt for now, anyways. And I agree with you on the modes. I definitely agree with you on the modes. They definitely need more, but more are apparently coming. Moving on down the list here, Centurion Pal, how's the weekend been?
What is up, guys? It's been a good weekend, but it's Sunday night, and it's time for the TXR Podcast, and it's time to talk about Xbox and everything in between. We've had the Halo Infinite Beta multiplayer drop, whatever you want to call it. We've also got the quest for acquiring the Fear games for most of the community out there. I mean, that's all you see on social media. It's like the Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom crusades out there for people trying to get their hands on these games. But it's also
50 Cent.
Oh, that too, yeah. 50 Cent, Blood on the Sand, that one too. But also, it's Black Friday season. It's this week, and the sales have already dropped. I decided to grab Guardians of the Galaxy and Tales of Arise because I hear everybody talking about Tales of Arise and Guardians of the Galaxy for that matter. So, man, there's a lot of games for us that are supposed to come out, that have already come out. Man, I'm drowning in games.
Damn, man, you know, let me pull you out of the water if you're drowning. You know, I know you got quite the backlog as it is.
I know, right? I can never freaking focus on one game. As a matter of fact, now that I finally beat Far Cry 6, and I'm kind of starting to try to work my way back through getting into the Mass Effect Legendary Edition because I want to be able to do all those games because I never did all the DLC for the third game.
Oh, yeah. Well, Yeah, it might be a good idea to go through all that. Just so everybody knows, Timmy should be here. He's running a little bit late, but he should be coming on the show not too long from now. And before we get into the topics, a reminder to everyone listening in that we have an awesome giveaway going on for a limited edition Forza Horizon 5 controller. It's got a pretty cool theme to it, you know, the whole like Forza Horizon 5 Mexico kind of theme. And again, like a lot of collectors seem to be liking it. It looks pretty cool from the pictures I've seen. Check the Gleam link in the description to enter. The contest ends, I think it's Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken. So get on that if you haven't already. Again, looks like a really, really sick controller. And hey, guys, you know, we're just beginning the show, and if you could show support by dropping a like and sharing this out just to let everybody know that we are live now, that would be very much appreciated. So, on to the first topic of the evening, fellas, and Jeff Keighley's Game Awards has announced its nominees for the award show. There's some solid games lined up on the various categories, and it looks like Xbox is going to have, well, a pretty good time, a pretty good night at the awards. Shockley, buddy, is there any particular category that catches your eye, or or a certain game that got like announced for like a whole slew of different nominations?
Definitely I would say the game of the year nomination. I was sad to see Forza didn't make it in there, and I know people were saying, well, no, the other Forzas made it in there. I'm like, yeah, but the last Forza was going up against God of War and wasn't the highest ranked game of the year. God of War, Spider-Man, Red Dead Redemption 2. This year's competition is not that deep. But yeah, so I was kind of sad that game didn't make it in there, because people want to just like downplay it. I don't understand just to downplay our like art form, because like it just seems kind of dumb. Like, people put so much, especially in like Forza Horizon, if anyone's even played it, the amount that goes into that game, and the cool thing is it's keeping people that aren't even big racers or like, you know, big fans of racing games. It keeps them engaged and keeps them coming back wanting to play. So it is doing something different. You can't get very many non-racing fans to play like a lot of times Gran Turismo, or even Forza Motorsport, although Forza Motorsport has done a good job to like kind of give you ways to you know, scale back some of the difficulty. But with Forza Horizon, it keeps a lot of people engaged, kind of the casual like player that, you know, would like, oh, okay, I've raced a couple games, cool, okay, I'm good, I'm done. Whereas this actually keeps those people engaged and keeps them coming back to play. So, you know, that's not an easy thing to do, but I don't know, it just seems, now Xbox Studios does have the most nominations in a way, but with Deathloop and Psychonauts. So although people have been downplaying Psychonauts, saying, well, it was a game that, you know, was before was already in development. I'm like, yeah, it was kickstarted, but they even said it themselves. They were cutting. It wouldn't have been Game of the Year quality had Microsoft not stepped in. It wasn't even going to have boss battles. So. But yeah, that was the only sad thing to see. I was surprised Returnal didn't get in there, because especially over like, cause I don't think anybody was really talking about Ratchet and Clank other than just like the visuals. That was the only thing I saw people really talking about, just with like, oh, or you can warp in between worlds. But other than that, that was just kind of like a gimmick in a way, because other games that have done something similar. But Returnal, I would almost knock Returnal, even though I played it the first week. I didn't have too many issues other than like, hey, you got an update, cool. Well, you're mid-run, or your run that you were on for like, you know, 2 hours got deleted because we had to give you an update and we had to reset your console. Because a lot of us use sleep mode to kind of use a save point, that they should have been in the game from day one and is in there now. Not really a save point. It kills your save as soon as you pick up from that point, so you don't actually get to cheat and go back to your save over and over. But it had so many issues at the start. So that was the one thing I would say that would possibly hold it back. But otherwise, I think I agree with most of the nominations there. I was surprised that Deathloop, I think, had the leading. I think it had like
Yes.
9 nominations. Or at least it had the most nominations in the Game of the Year awards like category itself. From what I saw, but Metro Dread definitely deserved to be in there. Somehow, people like. Apparently, there's a lot of people that don't think Resident Evil 8. Although, after playing like a game of Returnal that was $70, and then you only paid $60 for Resident Evil 8, you're like, yeah, this is way better quality. Just a whole different. You're getting like bigger budget game that's top quality and it's $10 cheaper and doesn't have a ton of issues like that one did. But yeah, that's probably my game of the year. I don't think anything else really touched it from what I've played. So, but yeah, but it was cool to see a lot of other games get nominated. I was trying to think who. Oh, never mind. I think I got sidetracked there. But anybody else can jump in some. I was trying to think of some of the other categories, but I would say Resident Evil 8 and Metro Dread probably my top ones out of those ones I played that got nominated for Game of the Year awards. So, but obviously Forza will take the sports one, so it gets a gimme.
Now, I will say with regards to like the whole controversy regarding it not being in there, I mean, there are a bunch of good games already listed in here, but when I go by certain, again, accredited sources, I guess you would say, it was getting rave reviews like across the board. I'll admit I'm still playing through it, like you, Shockley. I mean, like, there's so much to do in the game. I'll admit, like, I'm not jumping, like, I'm not, like, geared toward it as much as previous Forzas. I'm not really sure what it is. It could just be because, I don't know, I guess I find it maybe a little too easy. I don't know what better word to really say about it, but I am generally enjoying my experience with it. I do think it's a very beautiful game. I like driving around and so on. I guess I'm just not finding a lot of challenge to it, is what I'm saying. However, I do understand why it is like very critically acclaimed and a lot of people love it. And I do think there is a case for it to be in the Game of the Year nominations. I mean, there's a couple of games here that I'm like, really? I mean, going through the list here, Deathloop, It Takes Two, Metroid Dread, Psychonauts 2, Ratchet & Clank, Rift Apart, Resident Evil Village. I mean, there might be one or two games here that might be able to take off, but again, I'm very curious what you guys think in the chat. Was Forza snubbed, or was it like, you know what, maybe maybe it's just a lot of chatter? Well,
yeah, if it were up to me, I would swap out Ratchet with Forza. I mean, it's like the 13th sequel in the Ratchet and Clank IP, and the main thing going for it is what? It loads things faster? I don't know. You could beat the game in the weekend. I don't see why it was nominated for Game of the Year. It's a great game. I just don't see what it does anything that's particularly new other than looking nice. I mean, Forza Horizon 5, like for example, my wife, she is not into racing games, but the more she saw me play it, she actually she's playing it herself now. She's actually catching up to me in the levels. She's one of those people that sees the map and tries to do everything, like check everything off the map. Like she goes for all the scoreboards, all the fast travel boards, all the speed traps. Like she likes buying faster cars, just doing things better than she did before. Like she's upping the difficulty on the races. Like, and this is my wife who doesn't play racing games. Like if a game gets people playing the game it's out of their comfort zone, if that doesn't make it a Game of the Year nominee, I don't know what does. Because again, it's 90 plus rated, 10 million plus players, the biggest opening week for any Xbox game. I think it deserved at least a nomination. I mean, I have a theory. Maybe there's just no video gamey characters. It's just, in the end of the day, it is just a car game. Like maybe that's why there's no iconic characters like Master Chief or Kratos or whatever. You need like a fictional element. Maybe that's why it was snubbed.
So
That's
you're
yeah.
saying that it needs to be like character driven, like hypothetically, right, to get a Game of the Year nomination?
Yes, because people brought up on Twitter how Overwatch won Game of the Year in 2016, and that didn't have a story. It was purely multiplayer gameplay based, and I'm thinking maybe it was because of the original, video game characters that were created, like these fictional characters with their own backgrounds and such. Maybe that's what Forza's lacking. I don't know, but either way, sidetracking from that, my Game of the Year, I do like the nominations overall. My Game of the Year is Psychonauts 2. That's a very, very polished game. Xbox deserves all the credit for that game because again, it was said before, the game made additions because of Xbox's funding and cash injection. And overall, though, it even died because if the Game Awards is trying to be like the Oscars but for gaming, I mean, this just checks off all the boxes. It tackles mental health, like gambling addictions, and for example, things like that. You go inside the minds of people who have issues to work through, and you try and help them through that. Like that is very much the kind of equality that makes a movie win the Oscar. So, but if they're trying to do that for video games, I think Psychonauts 2, it checks off all the boxes. It does a social commentary, but at the end of the day, it's a fun, quality game. So, that's my take.
I would say too that there's probably a couple of games here that wouldn't be in here, just for the fact that I think a couple of games got pushed back, pushed back into the new year, and I don't know, like it's giving some of these games a chance. So some titles that might not have made it. That's just my personal opinion, but I mean, they're still good games nonetheless. I've only played one. I will be playing Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. It's on my backlog. I do plan on playing it quite soon. Let's see. Centurion Buddy, since we're talking about all this Game of the Year stuff, you got an opinion on this? Any thoughts?
I do have thoughts. I've also got some controversial opinions that people have kind of taken a step back, at least when I've said them. Now, at least on to what MLD was saying with Ratchet and Clank. I think Ratchet and Clank actually has a little bit of a leg to be in there over Deathloop. I have personally played Deathloop. Deathloop is an alright game. It's glorified Dishonored. So to me, at least with Ratchet and Clank, they were trying to push the boundaries on being able to at least harness the technology of the console that it was on. And it also had some really, really good writing, and a good story behind it compared to Deathloop. But I'm not going to sit here and try to say what game really belongs in there. For me, it's the fact that, so to put it out there, I have yet to really play more than Horizon 5, more than an hour or two. Yes, I enjoy racing games, but they aren't exactly the first thing I hang my hat on. I love story-driven, narrative-based games, so I have been playing Far Cry 6. Like I said, I went back into Mass Effect Legendary Edition. But now here's the thing with what I do with my job in real life. I'm a numbers guy and I love fine print. You guys know I watch Virtual Legality on my YouTube channel a lot. And that's pretty much a lawyer breaking down the fine print of the gaming industry, which to me is like, I enjoy reading the fine print. Now, when it comes to the situation with Forza Horizon 5, this is where it gets really effed up. So, Jeff Keighley himself has come out on the internet and social media and responded to Windows Central, because we all read that article from Jez over there on Windows Central. And he responded in saying that it is eligible to be in the voting for Game of the Year and all that, because it's supposed to be available to the public before November 19th. Now, when you think about that, that means you should be able to vote on that game until November 19th, right? Is that what you guys would think? I'm asking you guys a legit question.
In theory, yes.
In theory, yes. Now let's break down what Jeff Keighley told Jez Gordon. They had to have all their votes in by November 4th because they wanted to do early voting. So they had to have all their votes in by November 4th. And Forza Horizon 5, it was only available in early access by November 4th. It wasn't available to the public until November 8th, blah, blah, blah. So all the voting had been done. But the people that do the voting can change their votes until November 11th. And it's starting to come out that a lot of these people had no idea they were even allowed to change their vote. And for me, it's also the fact that when you think about it, well, that's only until November 11th. What about the fact that it's eligible to be in the voting until November 19th? So what happens from November 12th to November 19th? Is that like purgatory hell for a game? Basically, if you come out on this, you don't qualify for anything. So basically, if you have a game that comes out on November 12th through the 19th, you aren't allowed to be in the voting for this year's video game awards of any category, and you're not allowed to be in next year's video games of any category because you fall into like the 1 week period of time that apparently doesn't exist to the video game awards. I have just said, now this is where I'm not a hateful person. I'm not going to tear down Jeff Keighley. I've seen people calling him a POS. I've seen people personally attacking him, trying to say he's the most horrible human being in the world and all this other stuff. I'm not going to be that guy. All I'm going to say is, Jeff Keighley, if you are trying to build the product known as the Video Game Awards, which is the premier game awards show that is pretty much all eyes are on you, for starters, it almost seems that there's always some kind of drama or weirdness or shadiness going on in the background. We all saw it with Hideo Kojima putting you in a game and also one of the judges in the game, and all of a sudden Death Stranding ended up in the Video Game Awards Game of the Year very quickly, ended up in that category very quickly. And I remember tuning in with a bunch of people to see if it would have won. If it would have won, I would have never watched the Video Game Awards again. And I think he probably realized that. It just, for me, it seems like Jeff Keighley knows the console war narrative, and he sometimes feeds it with a little bit of drama and conspiracy because he knows it's just going to get more focus on the Video Game Awards, which in turn are a giant advertisement that get us to all tune in and see all the games that we all want to play. And honestly, the awards themselves are second place towards the ad revenue that he wants in that show, because that's actually what keeps that show going. I just feel that Jeff Keighley needs to really open his mind to the criticism and the fact that the things he does and the things that go on with the VGAs are damaging the product that he is trying to birth into this world. And I mean, it's damaging the product's reputation. A lot of people think that the VGAs are rigged, that they are nothing more than shills for the companies that are involved. Let's just say a lot of people tune into the Video Game Awards just to watch the commercials because they feel the award shows themselves have been rigged from time to time and very controversial. One of the YouTubers I watch right now is wondering why the heck Cyberpunk 2077 is being nominated for anything. One of the worst launch games of last gen, and the beginning of this gen, Cyberpunk 2077, and they feel that Cyberpunk doesn't deserve to be rewarded in any way, shape, or form for the fact that they actually tried to pull the wool over the consumer's eyes and hide the fact that the games were horribly damaged and not running right on older consoles. And he even made the joke saying, what are we going to do? Reward the Grand Theft Auto Definitive Trilogy next year for coming out as like some immaculate game when it's actually nothing more than a mobile port? This is where I feel that Jeff Keighley needs to take the criticism and adjust the Video Game Awards and at least make it a lot more transparent and a lot more legit when it comes to what's on paper, because I just do not like the fact that literally if you read it on paper that there is a 1 week period of time that basically if a game is released during that 1 week, it doesn't qualify for anything because voting has already taken place. I'm hoping you guys could see where I'm going with all this, because it just feels that when you're the premier product, that you really have to do what you can to at least keep that product at least from being tarnished. Like right now with bringing up YouTube. YouTube took away the dislike button. Well, not the dislike button. They took away the ability to see how many dislikes are on a video. So you have no idea whether a video is being ratioed or not. And actually, one of the original co-founders of YouTube came out and said that this is actually detrimental to the system because not all content can be good. You need to have bad content to make something good content. Everything can't be good content, and just like you can't have every game in the world be in the running up for the video game for Game of the Year, but at the same time, at least make the voting for these games seem legit.
Yeah, and I'll admit, like, okay, I know we're going over the nominations for the Game Awards, and I am curious to see how things play out, but I mostly watch it for the world premieres, right? Like the new gameplay for games that we already know about, or new game reveals. I think that's what a lot of people just watch it for, to be honest. And to be fair to Keeley, he does get some interesting announcements. Or at least, like, I remember last year Xbox had some really interesting, like a really interesting showing. Arc 2 was there. Hellblade was previously there. Warhammer Darktide, correct. And I mean, heck, remember, wasn't the Xbox Series X the actual like reveal of the actual system done there too?
Yeah, the year before, along with Hellblade 2. Yep.
Yeah, but we also got to remember Jeff Keighley was also the guy that decided to leak the price of the Xbox One X before the E3 presentation. Jeff Keighley is known for doing some very not acceptable things. Like, I'm gonna be truthful, like when I get to talk to people in the content creation part of YouTube, or I get introduced to people like David Preen, who's the hardware guy for Xbox and Microsoft, the things that get said in those conversations, I am not out on social media tweeting. I'm not out telling people this stuff. It's like you are given a certain degree of respect and trust to hear these things. And Jeff Keighley is one of those types that runs out to social media and blabs his mouth. And the funny part is, man, we are all raised in school that nobody likes a tattletale, but apparently if you can leak some info, that doesn't apply.
Yeah, no, and you're absolutely correct, Centurion. It is, like, Keeley's track record isn't exactly what you would call fantastic, especially on the Xbox side of things. I'm just saying, like, over the past couple of years, like, recent years, at least there's been some decent announcements that way. Like, at least there's something to watch. But I totally agree that price leak was not cool, and, yeah, I know that Xbox wasn't too happy about that. Let's see. I'm just gonna go. Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, but I am interested to see what games are going to win, because this was a conversation about what is being nominated. There's some really good games being nominated. I'm just gonna blatantly just go out and say it. I voted for Psychonauts 2 because it's a beautifully written game. It has a really good story behind it, like MLD said. There's a message behind it. It tackles multiple issues. It's not about showing off a game console. It's not about graphics. It's all about the message that's in the game, which is why I voted for it. Even if Forza Horizon 5 was still sitting right next to it, I would have voted Psychonauts 2. For me, in the end, it's more like trying to get the games that do deserve to be in that category. And that's where I just feel like the voting system, at least for these categories, seems a little off, because I don't like the idea that the gaming media tries to tell me what is a good game and what is not a good game, because I am a free thinking individual that is able to figure that out on my own.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, sorry, I was just looking at the list, like, again, there's a lot of, I see a lot of Deathloop, a lot of, actually, a lot of Xbox titles. Again, like Xbox and Bethesda games. There's like 20 nominations, the most in the entire, like the most out of any publisher. So that's pretty impressive, honestly. Good for Xbox and Bethesda Studios. That's really cool. Go ahead, MLD.
Yeah, just to build on that, like you can really see the narrative starting to change. Like, especially going from last generation till now, how Xbox Studios have almost double the nominations as PlayStation Studios. I'm looking at the list myself here. Oh, you got Age of Empires and Flight Sim in the best sim strategy genre. I mean, I think Xbox has that down. Forza Horizon 5, best racing game, hands down. You got Deathloop really sweeping the nominations for a variety of categories, as well as Psychonauts 2. Even best indie game, a little game that we interviewed the developer for, 12 minutes.
Yes.
That's up there too. So I'm hoping 12 minutes can get some recognition from there. So it's pretty good. I'm really looking forward to playing Deathloop when it comes out. Like apparently that game had a AI bug fix patch lately, so I feel like the game's only going to get more polished as the months go on. But yeah, it's really impressive how Xbox is really cleaning up here.
Yeah, totally. Like 12 minutes. I'll admit that's awesome for Luis Antonio. Yeah, he was fantastic. Guys, check out our interview from back in late August with Luis Antonio, the game director, creator of 12 Minutes. Really fantastic guy to talk with, very insightful, very knowledgeable, and I hope he does well. I hope he pulls off something. Best indie game. Actually, let's look at that. I'm actually kind of curious who else is in there.
Oh yeah, Death's Door, Kena,
Okay.
Inscription, and Loop Hero.
Yeah, those last two, I'll admit, I'm not too familiar with. Kena, I'm familiar with. It seems like an alright game. Yeah, Death's Door I haven't played, but a lot of people talked very highly about it. 12 Minutes, I really enjoyed the narrative loop, so I'm gonna go with 12 Minutes personally, but again, any one of these I suppose could win. Yeah, Deathloop really doing well here. I am kind of interested to see, because Cyberpunk, like Centurion was saying, did get a couple of nominations here. Again, I'm glad that they have addressed some of the fixes. I know like a lot of stuff has been delayed still for Cyberpunk, but I know a lot of people that did enjoy the game, and actually I still need to play through it too. Damn, I'm really bad for the backlog. But interesting to see it get some attention in these categories. But overall, guys, it's really cool to see Xbox Game Studios doing well in these categories, and yeah, just overall I think it bodes well for Xbox in the future, and I guess we don't have to wait long because it's next month, right? And so not too long from now. Let's see here. Does anybody else have anything to touch on before we move on? MLD, were you saying something?
Oh no, I was just gonna say how I think it's a few weeks away now. Game Awards. Yeah, it's coming up fast. You'll be here before we know it. That's all.
So, if I could comment real quick, because I see somebody in the chat, what just happened on the voting for the games. I know the fans are allowed to vote for Game of the Year, and please correct me if I'm wrong if anybody knows the actual answer, but I think fan voting accounts for 30% of the vote, or is it 20%?
I heard 10.
Or 10, sorry, 10 might even be as low as 10, yeah. But I know that you're allowed to go in and vote on at least Game of the Year. And the only thing is though, it made me sign into my Twitter. It checks your social media because they do try to do a good job of preventing people from like spam voting or botting or doing all that other fun stuff that we know that the community can do. So it made me, it definitely checked my social media before it let me vote.
Oh, that's reassuring.
Yeah, right. Oh boy. Well, yeah, that's interesting. Well, guys, we'll keep an eye on it, and yeah, it's not too far away, so we'll know soon, like who wins and whatnot. Let's see. Moving on to some other interesting things going on in the gaming world. And guys, I guess we gotta talk about this. It was kind of interesting. A new interview with Platinum Games' Hideki Kimaya came out, and he made an apology to both players and to Microsoft for the canceled game Scalebound. I know we're still talking about Scalebound, right? I mean, I would have put it in the bin a little while ago. I know we had talked about it before, but just interesting that this interview came up, and basically it's like how they didn't meet expectations across the board for the game. Centurion, Kamiya touched on a couple of things, but ultimately, like, what do you think of what he said? Is this like an open apology? Like, is it actually meaningful?
I want to say at least finally somebody came out, and we all, like, I'm going to just be blunt. At least for me, I knew it was all on Platinum Games. When Microsoft gives you X amount of millions of dollars to build a game, and you release at least 2 or 3 other games during the period that you should have been working on Scalebound, you were obviously a little distracted and not focused on what you were really supposed to be doing. It's good to see that he's coming out and actually letting them know that the experience wasn't there. They were having some technological issues with trying to create an online game because they had no experience in it. So let's see, we were working in an environment we weren't used to. We were developing on the Unreal Engine. We also lacked the necessary know-how to build a game based on online features. That was probably like we all know Phil Spencer went in and looked at some of the pre-development of the game, and he was not happy with what he saw. And in the end, they ended up canning Scalebound. And everybody wanted to really kind of give Xbox a lot of crap for it. And he even said that in this interview that they were not really enjoying having to sit back and let Xbox take the full brunt of the community for Scalebound being canceled, because they just made it sound like Xbox walked in the room and just axed a perfectly functioning game. From at least the rumors I heard, the game didn't function right. It didn't look good at all. The game, let's just say, it was nowhere near what Phil Spencer wanted it to be. And they had already sunk an astronomical amount of money into Scalebound. And at that point, he just decided to pull the plug. It's really nice now that Platinum Games has really come out and doing this. They're trying to obviously preserve the friendship that they have with Xbox, because Xbox didn't exactly tear them down and feed them to the wolves. Xbox took all the controversy head on and let Platinum Games kind of just sit in the background while Xbox dealt with it all. I really hope, though, that this definitely opens the door for this game to potentially come back. No, it is not being worked on. I am not going to be the person that starts that rumor mill up. As far as I know, that game is literally lying dormant on a hard drive somewhere, either at Xbox or at Platinum Games or both, but nobody is working on that game. But Platinum Games has come out and said that they would like the opportunity to revisit this situation and try to correct the wrongs and obviously put some right to them. I really hope, though, that really does happen, because from the concept of it, it seemed like a really great game. I even know that Invader here himself actually has swag from that game. And that's where only the hardest of the hardcore, a lot of them have that swag, and they really got to see that game in development and what was being released for it. I mean, what more could you want? A fantasy-based RPG of you and your magical dragon out there saving the world. And I mean, the concept images of this game looked really great. I'm even interested in the fact on how these guys were even wearing headphones in this game. But I definitely watched the interview. It was very interesting to see somebody come out and actually take, I want to say, a good portion of the blame. He did actually say, though, that both sides, in his opinion, did fail. He basically came out and said, oh, there it was. I think there are areas where we could have done better, and I'm sure there are areas that Microsoft as a publishing partner wish they could have done better, but nobody wants a game to be canceled. I'm curious on the only thing I could think of is Microsoft to do something that they've never really been known for, and that's to crack the hammer down and try to control a developer into doing something they don't want to do. And I'm pretty sure that Phil Spencer picked up on the fact that they didn't have the prowess that was needed to get this game over the finish line, and also due to the fact that they were developing other games, it didn't seem like it was their main focus. So, as any good manager would do, they would pull the plug on a project that's just essentially hemorrhaging money.
Well, wasn't the talk around the town that they were using the funds that they were given for Scalebound from Microsoft to put into other titles at the time? Like that's
Yeah,
what
I've heard that too.
Yeah. So again, like that was just a rumor going around, but still.
They were making 3 games at the same time. It was Nier, Automata, and that TMT game. So only one of those turned out to be a hit. One was really terrible reviews, which was TMT, or TMNT, and then the other one was a game that wasn't finished. So not a good track record. But I think they just took on too many projects. And that was their issue. And then trying to handle a new engine that they're not familiar with. They just weren't qualified to do that. But it kind of sucks that they took all the flack, because Hideki Kimaya is still like a great game maker. He made Resident Evil 2, which was like one of the probably people think of as the best Resident Evil 2 or Resident Evil game to this day. So like he knows how to make a game, and Nier Automata. So
didn't they do that PlayStation?
They took on way too much.
Didn't they do that? Sorry, didn't they do that Nintendo exclusive that was highly praised? What was it called? Astral Chain? Yeah, right. Because I don't know if you played it.
Yeah, another good one.
But yeah, apparently that was a really good game that I know that it was getting a lot of praise for. But it's just funny how again they can release. I'm not saying all their games are like the best ever, and obviously they're still working on Bayonetta 3, which I think has a release date now, and it looks pretty cool, I'm not gonna lie. But at the same time, it's like, Microsoft, I remember when they announced it back in 2014, I know it was still pretty early in development, Microsoft was really excited to work with them, and it's like, well, what happened, guys? Like going off of what Kamiya said, I mean, okay, he has a love for fantasy worlds and dragons and whatnot, and this sounded like a passion project for him. And then that, again, he admits that to being unfamiliar with this development, like I guess the online versions of games, they lacked the know-how to make online features. And it just, I don't know, it just strikes me as kind of bizarre. I mean, do you guys think that this was just I don't know, could it have been like some kind of cultural differences going back and forth? Or again, like, was it just Platinum biting off more than they could chew? Like,
yeah, I'll say it was definitely that. They had too much on their plate. I mean, it's good that they said something now, but I feel like it's, like, come on, it's been how many years now, and now you say something? Xbox took a lot of flack, and all the gamers, they just threw Xbox under the bus. When really, I think if the game wasn't going to be good. It would have been like a 60-something meta kind of game. And I feel like if that happened, it would have been even worse, because like people remember like bad games when they release. I feel like it was just better to cut your losses and just move on. But I don't know. At least they can go from here and develop a nice working relationship going forward. But better late than never, I guess.
But maybe he'll come around to Microsoft. That's probably why he was talking so glowingly. Like, he didn't have to say, even if he didn't feel like that, bad of a relationship between them at this point. He didn't have to talk as like glowingly and like, say he was like sorry. But I know him and Shinji Mikami, who did first Resident Evil, and I know they're still, at least back in 2018, I think that was the last photo where they're close together on like a road trip. So yeah, maybe he's seen like, he probably talks to Shinji Mikami pretty often because they have a long relationship. So maybe he's talking about like how they're being, treated versus kind of what went down early on in those like early days where, Phil it wasn't the same Xbox. They didn't have like full control when they wrote that, hit those contracts, and Phil was in, and that was still under Terry Myerson. So some of those deals probably went the way they did because they only had so much of a budget. So if that project was bleeding money, and say Meyerson's like, hey, you're only getting, so much to work with, because you're not in direct talks, with Satya at that time. You got to cut your losses. So I understood why he probably had to do what he did. So same thing with some like shutting down Lionhead. Peter Molyneux left, and a lot of his veterans followed him, or not followed him, but they left after their leader left. So it's like, well, that's what Lionhead was. It was, a big studio for them because they had it's like when keeping Kojima Productions when Kojima left. It's like, well, that's the reason you have him around. It was that person's vision that started it. So, but hopefully they work together in the future because he makes some quality games when he's given the time, when he's focused on one project, like they can hit. So,
yeah. Again, I'm just, it's curious hearing these words. Like 4 years later, like I'll admit, guys, like Centurion was saying, like, I would love to see it brought back in some form. Phil has said it's dead, so I tend to believe what Phil says. He's been pretty upfront about that. However, that was a little while ago. It is their IP. Scalebound is a Microsoft-owned property, so I guess anything could happen if they wanted to.
Oh yeah, they still own all the work that was done. So,
and I'll be honest, it would be a shame if all that work went to waste. If they, I know that they were having some issues with like frame rate and whatnot. If they ported it over to, again, like Xbox Series X systems, maybe it would run way better.
He probably still wants to make it too, because that was his one of his things he was thinking about making for years. And now he was getting the opportunity to do it. So now Microsoft owns it. He can't, well, at least the name, Scalebound, and probably some of the other parts of it that he can't really use. So if he wants to make it, picking up where he left off is going to be probably the only way it's going to happen. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think it's very interesting that he's coming out and saying this stuff right after Square Enix threw Crystal Dynamics under the bus with their whole thing with the Avengers game. So never know. Maybe he really wanted to come clean and just get this off his plate and kind of reset the relationship between him and Xbox. But we could definitely say at least Xbox held the honorable position, and they did not be the ones to say it, because we all saw right now that Crystal Dynamics themselves were not meant to make the game that they did when it comes to the Avengers, and they're still stumbling through that to this day, trying to somehow turn it into something that it's not. If you go and look at the roadmap for the Avengers game, it's pretty bad right now. They're throttling XP in that game just because they're trying to slow down how quickly somebody can beat the game because they want them to play it longer. That's where sometimes you got to pick your developers very carefully, especially with what you want them to make.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's a good comment. That's a fair comment, Centurion. Really, guys, it's up in the air. As for now, I would say, again, Scalebound's dead. It's in the ground, but you never know. The video game industry is a weird beast in itself, and surprises can always happen, right? So, and relationships can be mended. Again, look at Obsidian. Obsidian and Microsoft didn't exactly have a great relationship, and Microsoft canceled a project.
Tim Schafer.
Yeah.
Going back to, what was it? Was it Voodoo Vince at the time? It was one of Tim Schafer's game. It was supposed to be an Xbox exclusive, and then
Psychonauts.
Microsoft came in.
Was
it Psychonauts?
Yeah.
But yeah, they came through and they're like, nope, we're not funding this as an exclusive anymore. So you can continue and put it on our platform, but we're not funding it anymore. And they had to get Majesco to come in and fund it. So that's kind of a bet because they almost potentially killed Psychonauts by just pulling the plug on it. Similar to Psychonauts, or not Psychonauts, but Scalebound. But they weren't buying the IP. They were just kind of like publishing it, and they just like, yeah, you can keep it, but find the rest of the funding that you need. So that's obviously not a good relationship from one of your first. I don't know if it was his first game or his first like big production. I think it was, but yeah. And then he came around. You would have never thought Tim Schafer walking out on the Microsoft, like when he came out on that E3 press conference. You're like, really? I didn't see coming.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I mean, I had hypothesized before the show started. I remember putting out a tweet being like, okay, here's a few suggestions of who they could possibly be acquiring next. One of them was Hello Games. I forget the other one. And then it was, oh man, yeah, it was a Double Fine. And then I was like, oh, wow, damn, I got it right. And I guess it makes sense. There's a lot of pieces that do fit in there, Kickstarter, Darling, and so on. But with Platinum Games, I mean, they do have more of a steady money flow. But again, like, if he wants to make that pet project of his, that passion project of a fantasy dragon game, like, again, maybe they could patch things up. But time will tell. Again, it's different people under it, different budgets, and so on. But as for now, guys, I mean, I would just like... I wouldn't expect it to be coming back, but again, stranger things have happened. Stranger things. Let's see, going into the chat, guys, thank you very much for tuning in here. Don't forget to smash that like button and share this out on social media, and if you're watching and you haven't subscribed, make sure you do so. Also, check the notifications and make sure you hit the little bell there to stay notified about when we go live and such things, because YouTube can be a pain in the butt with that kind of stuff. All right, let's move along here, guys. Moving on to something else. And we know that Xbox isn't stopping at adding games to its platform. We often hear things like about games, new games in development and so on, whether they be first party, third party, and so on. But it seems like they're now looking at specific genres. And speaking at a summit, Xbox head Phil Spencer said that there's no specific quota about, let's say, studios, but if it's about the right fit for them. However, he does want to see more casual games on Xbox platforms. Now, General MLD Buddy, we often speculate on games to bring back. I know we often do on this show. It's a fun thing to do, right? You can't really blame us for doing that. But does Xbox, do they choose to bring back like casual games in their library, or do they seek to do something where they make, again, more partnerships on the horizon? What do you think on this?
Well, I mean, there's just so much to really speculate on, but I mean, let's start from the top here. I'd say that they're making a really good effort to cultivate the more casual offerings within their own studios. I mean, look at games like Grounded, Sea of Thieves, Minecraft Dungeons. It's overall a very good start, but I think they know that they need more to really capture that new market that Xbox typically isn't associated with. So I'm thinking they got Banjo-Kazooie. They don't have an internal developer that's willing to make it, so why not publish it? I mean, Xbox game publishing is a thing. They've been getting some really good deals out there lately, and it wouldn't put it past me if they were to make a deal with an outside developer to make Banjo. Now, that said, I feel like in terms of Phil Spencer saying in terms of acquisitions, a few things come to mind. I mean, again, like acquisition-wise, first thing that comes into my mind is Sega. I mean, but I'll just touch on maybe Super Monkey Ball, Sonic, some kind of Game Pass Day One deal, publishing deal, something like that. But otherwise, Playful Studios, they made Super Lucky's Tale. They will be a good fit.
Yeah.
Warner Brothers for Traveler's Tales. I mean, all the Lego games they make. I mean, I don't know how these guys do it. They just keep cranking them out. Kids love them, people love them, casuals love them. That will be a great fit for Xbox. And of course, we all know about those rumors that circulated like some time ago. But then I started doing some digging, and they could even buy something small, like some indie developers. You got what? These are all off the top of my head. There's no rumors or anything around this. Just purely my own opinion here. I mean, you got Team 17. They make Overcooked as well as Worms, two very popular casual games. The Behemoth, they make Castle Crashers, Battle Block Theater. Hazelight, they made It Takes Two. EA published it, but as far as I'm concerned, Hazelight is still an independent developer. End of the day, and I think It Takes Two clearly is very popular. That may catch Xbox's eye. Playtonic, they made Yooka-Laylee. Like basically, a lot of people from that studio made the original Banjo-Kazooie. So there's clearly a lot of options for Xbox to do. They're really spoiled for choice. They could acquire some. They could do publishing with some. They could do simply a Game Pass deal with some. But I'm glad that Xbox, they're filling in the holes of what they need. Because in my opinion, Xbox has most of their bases covered. If not games that are out now, they're games that are being in development. But what Xbox really needs right now is Japanese content and family-friendly titles. And the rest, I think they got it down, or at least they're getting it down. So I'm glad that they have a actual roadmap and actual, the gears are in motion to fix this. So there's a lot of possibilities, and I hope we hear about this stuff soon.
Yeah, I mean, I know that there's a lot to unravel here, and Phil puts out hints every now and then of, what's kind of, what they're thinking about. And he highlights games. Again, we talk about these social, more casual games. And he highlighted Roblox. Obviously, they own Minecraft already, which is a perfect example. Fortnite and FIFA, which it's kind of interesting that he brings up FIFA because they don't really have any sports titles, right? And there's rumors flying around that EA could be losing the FIFA license. Apparently, EA and FIFA, I don't know, they're kind of at odds with. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it has to do with like pricing and so on. And there's rumors that EA could be losing this license. Wouldn't it be interesting if Xbox got the license to FIFA? Man, that would be a huge feather in their cap if they could land something like that. Such a worldly, something that really expands the globe, like a FIFA titled game, soccer game. That would be massive. Yeah, no, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry.
Oh no, just go ahead.
Oh, I mean, I thought about that too, but I read that. Correct me if I'm wrong, anybody, but I think FIFA demanded like close to like $1 billion in royalties. Like they really upped their cost to use the brand name. And if Xbox were to do that, in my opinion, it wouldn't be maybe the smartest use of their cash to pay the royalties, because they would be now competing against EA, which is now going to try and use another license to make soccer games. But also, I feel like that $1 billion in royalties, I feel like you could just buy some developers, make some Game Pass deals, stuff like that. Unless Microsoft is really cash injecting Xbox, then hey, okay. I mean, I won't complain, but I feel like they could better use their money on something else. But that's just me.
Oh yeah, and to be fair, I mean, you make a great point. If it is like $1 billion, which I wouldn't be surprised, yeah, that is a lot of cash. But again, I mean, Microsoft's not afraid to throw their wallet around. I mean, look how much they spent. I mean, okay, I know they bought Mojang, but I mean, they bought Minecraft for what, 2.2 billion dollars itself. Don't get me wrong, that acquisition paid for itself within like 5-6 months. But I'm just saying that the FIFA license itself would be a huge grab. Do I necessarily think that it would happen? Probably not. I mean, I do tend to agree with you, MLD. You do bring up good points. It's just an interesting thought to bring up, because again, they could use a couple of sports titles in there. Personally, Centurion, I'm curious your thoughts. Like when we're talking about like casual games here, like I don't know what like pops into your head that they could really address on that front.
I really could not tell you outside of, I think somebody already named off WB Games when it came to trying to get games that would definitely get the casual attention. I mean, there's a lot of how can I say it, a lot of IP there that would definitely people would want to tune in for. I really don't know because I hate the term casual. To me, it just everybody has their own way of connecting to gaming, whether it's on your cell phone or going after a great big PC rig or just enjoying the convenience of console gaming like I do. For me, it's more just trying to put my thumb on exactly what is casual gaming. Exactly what is their definition for that?
Very true. Well, again, Phil had brought up like Roblox, Minecraft. He did bring up FIFA and Fortnite. So I'm assuming, like, again, just like games that are very easy to get into per se. It doesn't necessarily have to be hardcore. I mean, heck, it could even be something as simple as like card games. It could be like it could be a platformer for all I know. I mean, I think we're all in agreement that we're all agreed that they do need to address, they could use a few more platformers. Like that would be nice to see. We always talk about Banjo, but I don't know if it's going to be coming back anytime soon. Kamiya is one that I would love to see come back, but I don't know how much love it gets on the Microsoft side of things and what their thoughts on it.
See, that's where if they were to tap into some of the IP over at Rare, that would definitely be a big one right there. But then, like I said, it's just really hard to say. But at least in my mind, Xbox is the right company to at least approach the situation because they are hyper focused on games and delivering different styles of games all across the industry versus their competition that seems to be really focused on stuff that appears on the silver screen. So definitely, I feel Xbox is in a good position to try to definitely push this narrative, this direction that they want to go for in game development. But I just wouldn't really know exactly where one would start because, like I said, there's some people that prefer to do all their gaming on cell phones, which I would never, ever, ever. The closest I've ever came to gaming on my cell phone is plugging my cell phone into xCloud and playing it there.
Right, and that's fair. Like, I'm also, like, when I think of casual, too, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw, like, them get more involved with party games. Again, for example, like there's rumors of 1 versus 100 possibly making a comeback. What about if, like, again, we got more of these social games? Like, does anybody remember Fusion Frenzy back in the day? Like,
yeah,
that
it's
would
like the Xbox Mario Party kind of game.
well, yeah, and it's funny you bring that up. Like, a Mario Party like game. I'm not saying it has to be exactly like it, but something like in that kind of a manner would be like pretty cool to have on the platform. Again, like Fusion Frenzy, but like even more crazier. So I mean, I think I think that would be something that should be taken into consideration.
A new Diddy Kong Racing.
Oh,
They
yeah.
literally could do Diddy Kong Racing. Just take out. It was supposed to be not Diddy Kong Racing. There was supposed to be no Diddy. It was supposed to be that tiger. I forget his name. And then they just slapped on Diddy and threw him in there. They literally have rights to the entire thing, minus just taking out Diddy from the game and the name. And they can literally put all those characters, and they have control of all of the aspects of that game. So I don't know why they haven't, with how Mario Kart sells. What I'm sure it's close to, like Mario Kart 8 is probably close to like 20 million if it's not already.
A lot.
So why you wouldn't take Diddy Kong Racing, that's still heralded as like the best racer on the N64 or best kart racer? I don't know why they haven't dipped into that. Because people would go, oh shit, I gotta get an Xbox for that. Like a lot of the Nintendo diehards. So I don't know.
Well,
they're just letting those IPs rot.
Fun fact there, Shockley. Rare back in the day was, I mean, they had a whole bunch of canceled projects, but they were making a Conquer racing game, if I'm not mistaken. It was called Fast and the Furriest. So, I mean, Yeah, I think, yeah, I mean, a cart game, I know a lot of people have been pretty clamoring for that. And you could just do that alone with rare IP, honestly. Like,
Yeah.
whether it be, I mean, yeah, you could throw
You
Conquer
could
in
get a
there,
lot of
but
devs that would probably be passionate about making a new Diddy Kong, basically a new Diddy Kong game. Like, hey, you know, basically everything you loved about Diddy Kong, you can take that, pretty much all the same characters, everything that was cool about it. Just you don't have Diddy in the game. That's it.
oh yeah, yeah, that's a really good idea. Or even, does anybody remember those? There were party games. I think they were called the Movies, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was a Lionhead game. I could be mistaken.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I remember that actually had a bit of a following. It was either that or Lips, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, there was a few of those games that I know had a bit of a following. Even like something along the lines of a Viva Pinata. Viva Pinata would be really cool too. It was like really easy going, and you got to like build up a garden, and like you had all these like little crazy fantastic creatures that, like, very like family friendly game. I think that'd be cool to bring up. Again, guys, just these family, like like you look at all these like different casual games that Microsoft has at their disposal, and I would just it's just interesting to see Phil talk about all these. And I know a lot of people in the chat are very, very like passionate about some of these titles. We see people talk about, oh hey, let's bring back Banjo and so on. Hey, I want to bring back Banjo, but who knows if it's in the cards at this point. Anybody else have anything to add to this, or can we move on? All right, guys, I think we will move on, and we will move on to our last topic of the evening. And earlier this week, Microsoft had their Xbox 20th anniversary celebrations. We got a documentary on Xbox. We also got like a pretty big Halo drop and backwards compatible goodness, to say the least. Like a lot of backwards compatible goodness now that I think about it. Let's see here. Shockley, buddy, I'll go to you on this one. There were quite a few good things to cover here. Like, what really got you excited? Like, what caught your eye at this celebration event? Because, they dropped a couple of things here. It wasn't like E3 or anything like that, but they had some good things, right?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I was trying to think. Yeah, that was the two highlights. The one when we were all waiting for that rumor to drop for Halo to be available the same day. But the backwards compatible titles being announced, and that there was like 70 or 76 or I forget how many all at once. So that was pretty cool to see. Now that also came with the caveat of like, I was like, dang, they're doing that many? But then you find out they're like, yeah, and we're pulling the plug. But it was cool to see the whole Max Payne series on there, because I've played 1 and 3, never played 2, and I hear that one's really good. But yeah, excited to get back into that, and definitely play 2. And I was trying to think, the Fear series, that was one of the other ones I really wanted to get back into, because I played. Thing about that was it was a big PC game, and that's why I bought it on the PC. But I had one of those machines, if people know what those are.
Oh, yes.
Back in the day, they were like pre-built. Like it's kind of like a pre-built like Dell that has an onboard graphics card, which really isn't good enough. It was good enough for Halo, like Halo 2, or not Halo 2. God damn it, Half-Life 2, because that Valve was amazing at like you could run that thing on the crappiest PC and it still looked good. Fear, I could play the multiplayer, which was great. So it wasn't a complete waste of money to buy that $50 game. But I could not. At first, I thought it was like if anybody watched the show, what was it called? Reboot back on Toonami on
yes.
Cartoon Network. Well, some of the characters, because one of them is kind of like this, I don't know if he's like a supernatural character, but his face was like kind of like greenish, like their faces were in that show. But no, it was just my graphics card was not rendering it right. So I never got to really finish. It locks up after like towards the end of like the first chapter on me back on that old PC. But I can always play the multiplayer. The multiplayer is great. It's a game I always wanted to get into because it seems so cool, and the multiplayer still had a lot of the cool aspects of it. But I'm excited to go through that series. I picked it up for like $6 or $10. It's pretty cheap right now. But I was sad to see Fear 2. Fear 1 is not digital. I don't know if that ever got digital because that was an early Xbox game. That was like I think it was an 06.
Yep.
So I don't even know if it would have been on because Xbox didn't have some of the bigger titles, I don't think, on the digital store early on. But if I remember correctly, but 2 and 3 I saw earlier this week were digital. So I was like, cool, I'll just get that one game, and then I'll get on a disc, and I'll get the other two, and I probably will skip Fear Files. But now Fear 3 has been delisted. It was there that day when they announced it because I went there and checked the prices. But that one's been taken down. Now I'm thinking like, crap, should I grab Fear 2? Is about to get delisted too? I don't understand. It's the same dev, so it's not like, it's one of them's like a different publisher, I don't think. But Mortal Kombat 9 was another one that I was really excited about because I've been playing that on my Xbox that has all the DLC. Unfortunately, they did release a patch that finally unlocked the title screens as the complete edition, which is supposed to have all the content. But the DLC is not accessible. Even though it's like I watched my Xbox download the DLC. It's in there when you go to manage your digital content. And those characters like Freddy Krueger are in the gallery section where you can look at the characters, but they're not in the roster where you're trying to select a character to play as. So it's kind of annoying. And some of the moves aren't there because some of the moves came in the later patches. So that's kind of annoying. But other than that, I would say Mortal Kombat, Fear, and those in the Max Payne series was probably the notable additions. In the Otogi games, I can't believe we got the Otogi From Software games. Those look really cool. Definitely have always wanted to get into those, but that's crazy. We got Otogi 1 and 2, but we didn't get Jet Set Radio Future. It's sad that we won't ever get that one. I thought for sure they would we had a chance when they brought back the backwards compatibility, and then to hear that's not going to happen. So, but those are my picks, or my faves definitely to check out. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's quite a few games here that I'm pretty excited about. Like you had mentioned, Shockley, Fear. I was a big Fear fan back in the day. Actually, still am. I've been itching to kind of go back and revisit them, maybe do a stream of them. Guys, the Fear games are awesome first-person shooters. Actually, I'd argue they have one of the best AIs to battle against too. They were pretty aggressive. I don't know if you guys have played the first Fear. I know Shockley has, and they are pretty creative. They will come up behind you and get you. They're pretty smart AI. That, and it's just a fun game, fun shooter overall. I highly suggest checking out the Fear games. What else do we got here? I'm kind of looking at the list now. I know a lot of people were excited to see the 50 Cent Blood on the Sand, so that's cool. Manhunt, the Max Payne games. Man, there's a Mini Ninjas too. Actually, I know a few people that loved Mini Ninjas. Otogi as well. I haven't played Otogi personally, but a lot of people do have an affinity for that game. So maybe I should check it out sometime.
It looks just like when I saw some screenshots of somebody playing it on the new Series X. It looks just like if you played Shinobi, like that. Kind of the reboot on the PS2. For a second I thought I was looking at Shinobi, because a lot of the menu kind of looks in the on screen looks similar, but definitely want to check that out. But man, you got to be rich to be playing 50 Cent Blood on the Sand if you didn't already own it. Disc only, and that thing is going. I could not believe it. I took a picture of that, and it was like $183 with 9 days to go, and had 23 bids on it. I was like, Jesus.
Wow! Holy crap!
That was the only listing for the Xbox 360 disc, so it's like there's not many other ways to buy it for 360.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Oh man. Yeah. Actually, I was kind of curious too. I was looking up the Fear games too, and yeah, that's it's the same thing. They're going for like $80, 80, $90. I couldn't believe it.
What?
Yeah, on eBay. On eBay, I'm seeing some really crazy
Shit.
prices.
And Fear 3 just got delisted. That sucks. Because Fear 1 is dirt cheap right now. You'll probably only get the disc only when you buy it on GameStop.com. But it just got sent to me, and that thing was going for $6, and they're doing buy one get one free used games right now. So you'll probably get at least if you want to play, you'll get that game for $6. And most like exchange or most thrift stores that sell video games usually will have a copy of Fear, and it'll be cheap. So
Yeah, I'm gonna wait a couple of
But not
months before maybe let it settle a bit because I had the original Fear, but I think I gave it away for some reason. I can't remember why. I was looking to pick it up again, and it's going for an insane price. So yeah, just gonna wait a little while. Maybe hopefully a bargain bin has it somewhere. But not only with all these backwards compatible games, guys. I mean, okay, there is about 70 that they listed. That's fantastic. Like, I'm so happy that we got all these. But what's kind of sad too is that they announced that the backwards compatibility program's ending because of I guess they reached a limit from what they were saying from various licensing, legal and technical constraints. It's I don't know, it's just really kind of sad because we had a good run because the backwards compatibility program started in 2015 if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, I mean, I can't think of how many games have been in the program overall, and there's been a lot. But it's just a shame because, like you said, Shock, the Jet Set Radio Future, that would have been a good one. I'm sure a whole bunch of us on the panel would like to see a couple of games on there. I always preach about MechAssault, the MechAssault games I would love to see there. They were a staple of the original Xbox, but I understand certain like, again, there's licensing issues there because of the technicalities of the IP, but it's a shame. Like, I don't know if anybody else has any more thoughts on the backwards compatibility, going away, but it is sad, right, MLD?
Yeah, I mean, at least we know that Xbox, I mean, they gave it their all. Like, they did as much as they possibly and legally could. And Phil Spencer went on record saying, calling for legal video game emulation to take the next step further. Because in the end, I mean, everyone wins here. He just wants the ability to sell older games, games that we would buy and everyone would make money off of. I mean, it's win-win. But silver lining, at least they didn't. That doesn't also go for frame boosting. Technically, they can keep going on that. And with the showcase, they weren't short on those games either. Like, for me, the standouts are Dead Space 2. I tried it. It is so smooth at 60 frames per second with HDR. Fallout, the Fallout series. I'm actually going to play New Vegas sometime next year. That game being a buttery smooth 60 frames with HDR. That sounds like a really good time. The whole Gears of War series, Kamiya got the 60 frames boost. I just feel like Xbox, they're giving you a lot of current stuff. Like, hey, here's a Halo multiplayer shadow dropped, but hey, if that's not your thing, here's 70 backwards compatible games. And also on top of that, here's some frame boost games for other games that you like. It's just it was a really positive show in that it made us feel spoiled and appreciated at the same time. Because right now we're in this kind of like a golden period now. You could even argue about Xbox right now. There's just so many games, both past and present and future, to look forward to. It's just insane. And that show was only half an hour long, but it was perfect. It was perfectly paced. It cut through the crap, gave us exactly what we wanted to see, and also just celebrate Xbox. So I was pretty happy with that showcase. So a lot of good games to play, both new and old. So that's all we could really ask for. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Xbox's success with backwards compatibility is the reason why they're having to end backwards compatibility. I'm just a blunt individual, and even though it seems like a great idea for these developers or publishers to sell old games at a, let's be frank, some of these games actually do not go for very much money, and that does not thrill these publishers. They want you to go for that $60 banger, and we've all seen how Rockstar Games put out a very paltry remaster of some games that were nothing more than glorified mobile ports, and they delisted the original version of those games, and they're going to actually become some kind of package now that they're going to try to resell you in the future. A lot of developers and publishers want to basically resell these games as a remaster or an up-res or whatever else they can do to it. And the problem is with what Xbox can do with the Series X and the really awesome hardware in the Series S and the Series X, these developers are wanting to halt this program because of the problem of, well, there's no point in releasing a remaster if the original game is that much better on the guy I watched on YouTube straight up said playing the original Fear game on the Series X is even better than the PC build. So it proves that Microsoft Xbox can do a really good job with backwards compatibility, giving some of these older games a lot more value. And these developers want to actually cash in on that value on their own and re-release some of these games, I think, which is where I think that Microsoft really hit a brick wall when it came to backwards compatibility, because a lot of publishers now want to be able to retain the rights to release these games, which is where maybe, because I think WB Games is now the ones in control of the Fear franchise. So I'm very curious if all of a sudden they want to be like, whoa, my God, everybody's talking about these games. We didn't know that people would be practically out there trying to go like scavenger hunting for these games at every local game store. Maybe there's something here. And that all of a sudden Fear 3 is delisted overnight. That's where it's starting to become very curious that I think a lot of these publishers and developers alike want to retain the rights to be able to basically put these games back out.
Yeah, I'm surprised that, like, I'm sure, like, they're thinking probably like, hey, look what Mass Effect just did. We can just like remaster them and put like 1, 2, and 3 in a trilogy and sell it $60 easy. But great thing is about that back list for some of these high price games, the backwards compatibility on Xbox is region free, so you can get cheap versions of Fear 3 for like $20 for other regions that aren't the US. So you might be able to play 50 Cent Blood on the Sand after all.
Maybe, but yeah, I mean, just like again, like you were saying, it is cool that they might be stopping the backwards compatibility program that might be coming to an end, but it's at least they're still looking at FPS boosts and even like more access on the cloud gaming front as well, which is pretty cool in any case. And yeah, even like in some of these new titles too that they announced for the backwards compatibility, I might pick up. Like I've heard some things, like I remember when Binary Domain came out, like a lot of people were dogging it, and now I'm hearing some good things about it, so I might give it a go. We'll see. But yeah, guys, like moving on from the backwards compatibility portion of it, what'd you guys think about the Halo Infinite multiplayer drop? I mean, me and Shockley had a little bit of a conversation at the beginning of the show, but Centurion, I'm not sure if you've had a lot of time with the Halo multiplayer. Like we had some time with it on the Insider a month or so ago, but obviously there's more maps, a few more modes, and so on. Like, have you gotten a chance to play it?
So as soon as that game was announced for for you to be able to start playing it now, you remember we were all in the DM trying to figure out how to do that, and you had to like restart your console to be able to get the update to start it up. And as soon as I did that, I got me, my brother, his kid, and we downloaded it. All of a sudden we were playing. All of a sudden Lemon hit us up, and it turned. I had plans for Monday that all got canceled because we sat around playing Halo pretty much all day, and then we sat around for a couple hours last night playing Halo with the blue one. Shout out to him. Fun times playing Halo. I have to agree with Shockley. Outside of the XP thing, they really need to fix that XP grind, but outside of that, you don't really care because you're just having a blast with all your friends, just running amok and just having total fun. And there's some pretty hair-raising moments, especially in big team battle. I mean, when we were playing the other night with Lemon, I mean, we had almost a full team of 12, and that was pretty fun. And we were out there just blowing everything up and just shooting at everybody, and fun times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I've spent some time with it. Obviously, I got the gameplay going on here while we're talking, and I'll admit, I really like the maps for the most part. I think the maps are a lot of fun. They got a lot of variety to them. They got interesting backdrops, and they're very creative play spaces. The weapons are really cool. The Mangler, man, the Brute Revolver, man, that thing is pretty cool. Like, you can like 3-shot a person from a distance with that thing. That's actually pretty cool. Cinder Shot, I really like as well. That Forerunner weapon. Oh, actually, I don't think there's a weapon that I really don't like. I don't know. Like, I'm really enjoying a lot of aspects to this game. Yeah, I'll admit I do have a pretty big issue with the progression. Like, don't get me wrong, guys, I am having fun. Like, I think the fundamentals are great. I love the weapons. I love the gameplay as a whole. I think there's a lot of good here, but there is a bit of a grind, and I'm really scratching my head at a lot of things, like why there was no ranking system to begin with. I know that they have the battle pass and you progress with that, but even like on the free end of things, I think that there could be more like armor options, and like not a lot of things should be. There could be a little like some things that, you know, could be transferred from the battle pass to, like, again, maybe just be unlocks normally, because I do think that if you want to keep players invested, even though this is a free-to-play portion of the game, you need to give people rewards to move towards, and I'm not sure that there's enough of that right now. I know that they are working on the progression, and the game, admittedly, it isn't a beta form still, and it's not like official. They still got more to roll out, and I'm very forgiving in that manner. But as of right now, I do believe that they really do need to address the way that the progression works. But otherwise, yeah, I mean, I'm having fun with it. I'm having a lot of fun. They definitely need more modes too, because like it's kind of weird not seeing like
I just need the playlist.
Yeah,
like the modes. Some of the modes are there. It's just like it doesn't give you the option to just play. I want to play Oddball, or I want to play this. You know, you have to just like, oh, okay, I got the one I wanted. So
Yeah, that's my one complaint, because I like Slayer, and it's why I played like almost 2 hours the other day, and I think I only had like one Slayer match. The rest was oddball, strongholds, capture the flag, and every time I get them, I'm playing it, like I'm having fun, but just like let me have a Slayer playlist. I'm hoping it's because we're in the beta mode. I'm hoping that on December 8th they'll separate them. So I'll give them the benefit of the doubt, but I mean, that's my thing. I mean, with progression, they did add the hot fix, like they gave you like 50 experience points per match, regardless of what happens. I think they tweaked the weekly challenges. I think they took out the ones that seem a little more ridiculous to complete. So, I mean, it's good that they're transparent. They're listening to the community, and I feel like they'll be on top of this and make changes quickly. So that's good news. They're clearly listening to the community, and they'll make changes as fast as they can. But yeah, I can go on all day, but you guys pretty much covered it. Like, this game is just really, really, really polished. I personally like how the armor lights up when you fire on the enemy. It lights up which part of the body you hit them. And I don't think that was as apparent as in other Halos. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's the little things like that that make it really competitive and make you want to improve yourself.
Yeah, actually, I think you can tweak that too in the settings, if I'm not mistaken, the outline, because I think there was feedback from the previous, like the insider flights, that people are like, well, yeah, I don't really like how the outlines per se, like how strong they are. So you can tone that down a bit, if I'm not mistaken. Just something to play around with. But overall, like, yeah, I mean, I'm having a lot of fun. Like going from Halo 5 to Halo Infinite, I do think that the maps are better made. I do think that they did a lot better job with just getting back to, like a more traditional Halo look while combining like some of 343's own aesthetics into it. Like to me, this is the right way to go. I got to admit, guys, I'm really excited for like what's coming with the campaign. Actually, speaking about the campaign, guys, there's been some gameplay going around. A bunch of different like Xbox content creators have gotten they've gone to play the game early, such as our friend Colt Eastwood, Hidden Xperia. Like, there's been a whole bunch of people. They've been posting like gameplay on social media. I've been trying not to watch a lot of it because I want to save my excitement for the game day one. But I don't know. Have you guys seen any of the gameplay at all?
Oh yeah. Well, I watched the ones that are no spoilers. So, I mean, yeah, you see some interior levels here and there, some open world levels, but they're all almost universally positive. They really say that the emotional aspect of the storyline is amped up, but in a really good way. Seems like they're really going back to the storytelling roots of the original trilogy, where Chief only speaks when it's necessary, or when to deliver like a really good one-liner that becomes iconic years later. Overall, though, they definitely learned their lessons from Halo 5 in terms of writing and emotional impact. So, yeah, without going into spoilers or anything, I can't wait to play this game. They made it seem like it's like two different games now, where they release the multiplayer now, and we're all really into it, and then the campaign December 8th, it feels like a separate game onto itself because of the time gap. I don't know. They pulled it off somehow.
Yeah. And I'll be curious to see too, like going back to like multiplayer armor and whatnot. Like, I'll be curious to see if there's a lot of unlocks when it comes to like finding stuff in the campaign and how that goes. Like, if you complete certain sections and so on, if you'll get like different unlocks for like multiplayer, whether it be armors, emblems, and so on. Like, I think that would help alleviate some of the concern for progression, at least a little bit, anyways. Yeah,
I think that is in it. They did say that, where you can find some certain hidden things in the game, and that'll translate to a multiplayer unlock.
Again, whether that means like again, multiplayer unlock could mean either armor, could mean like emblem, or like one of those little dangling key rings and so on. So I have to wait and see. But I mean, that aspect of it is pretty cool. What about the Halo TV show, guys? It got a teaser. Anybody interested in that?
The production values look pretty good, but as a lore fan, I'm tempering my expectations. Let's just say that.
Yeah, same. Like, I mean, this thing's been in development hell for a little while, to say the least. I'm curious, like any other Halo fan. I want it to do well. I really do, but like you said, as a lore fan, I know that they toyed around with a few things. I'm not a fan of that per se. Like, I just rather that they follow the lore. I understand that there's things that you might not have to be so restrictive with, but at the same time, it's like I really wish that they would just stick to the meat and potatoes of like certain things and not screw around. But again, we only saw a short teaser. We'll have to wait and see. But it's supposed to be coming out sometime next year, guys. So again, that's something to look forward to. But yeah, Anybody else got any more comments about the Xbox 20th anniversary? I mean, like Centurion, did you pick up that controller, the 20th anniversary controller? Did you end up getting that in the mail?
It's tomorrow. I bought that totally impulsively. I go on to one of the cheap. I don't know if you guys ever heard of it, Cheap Ass Gamer.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You went on there and it's like, hey, restock for the 20th anniversary controllers. Buy. I definitely wanted it. Oh my god, I saw it on multiple Twitter people I follow on Twitter who had it, and God, man, everybody's getting controllers. They've got all these controllers flying around everywhere, and I already have an Elite 2, so I didn't want to like hop on the Halo one, but I also wanted just something to kind of, because dude, after watching that 20th anniversary celebration on Xbox and them talking about how much they changed gaming and showing just how they brought the industry forward in their own little way. I mean, like, look at how Game Pass has totally changed everything. You cannot deny the fact that Xbox has changed the gaming industry. They definitely I don't want to say proprietary, but they definitely pushed forth the idea of online gaming out of the box. Versus as an attachment. I understand the Dreamcast was the first one to have a local area network card inside them, but I feel Xbox kind of put that in their console and it hit the ground running with Xbox Live. And I just really wanted something to kind of commemorate all that, and I really wanted to have that 20th anniversary controller. I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to download that background onto my console, and I'm even probably going to use the controller because I'm tired of getting all these controllers and just staring at them.
Yeah, no, it has a nice feel to it. Like, it looks simple too, but it's got a nice. It is nice in its own way. And then the background that it comes with is kind of neat as well. But then again, I'm a fan of green, so anything green is good in my books. But yeah, actually, it's funny you mentioned the Halo controllers, Centurion, because you know I was kind of going back and forth. It's like, do I really need another controller? But man, that Halo Infinite Elite 2, oh, it looks so sweet. And I end up, I can usually control my spending pretty well, but I FOMO'd, and I ended up getting it. I saw that it was available at GameStop.ca, and I was like, this isn't going to last very long here. So I added it to my shopping cart and got it. So
I think it was your FOMO moment that made me have mine. Because, like, well, I even was like, well, Invader got a controller. I'm getting a controller, too.
Right. And if I'm not mistaken, MLD, didn't you get that controller, too? The Halo Infinite Elite, if I'm not mistaken?
I'm looking for the Halo Elite controller and the Halo Xbox. No such luck. They are damn near impossible to find, but that's ongoing. But that is on my to-do list to get them.
Oh, okay. I'll keep an eye out for you then.
Appreciate it. Yeah,
of course, buddy. Of course. But yeah, guys. I mean, the Xbox anniversary was pretty cool. It was short and sweet. Again, I wasn't expecting very much. Maybe I would have thought maybe. I know we were talking about like maybe a Fable thing or just something a little extra, but honestly, like it was good what we got. You know, I didn't have my expectations set too high, and I think that was the right course of action for that. But regardless, it was cool, and yeah, we got a lot to look forward to. Halo is just around the corner, and hey, maybe some more reveals at the Game Awards. But you know what? It looks like we're now going to end off tonight's show. And I gotta say, guys, it was a really fun chat. Lots of good topics. Obviously, we talked about the Xbox anniversary highlights, the Game Awards nominees, and much more, like Hideki Kimaya and so on. Of course, thank you to all of you who tuned in tonight. It's always wonderful having you all here. If you enjoyed tonight's offerings, then consider leaving a like, sharing this out across various forms of social media, and subbing to the channel. Don't forget to hit the notifications to keep up to date when we go live. And you know what? Like, don't forget about our Forza Horizon controller giveaway, the awesome giveaway that we're doing. Get in while you can. It's a few days away, and the link to the Gleam giveaway is just in the description here. So click it, guys, and get in on that because, again, it's a pretty sweet controller. Now, with that out of the way, let's get to the outros. Unfortunately, Tim Dog could not make it. I think he was... It seemed like he was stuck in traffic, unfortunately. I know that he was on the road, but don't worry, guys. He will be back soon, hopefully next week. Let's see. We'll start off with Eric Shockley. Buddy, I really like the input tonight. Great energy. Where can everybody follow you at?
Yep, as always, you can find me at ShockNero on Twitter, Easy Shock on Xbox Live. But yeah, definitely get the backwards compatible games you want before they get delisted. And like Centurion was saying earlier, these publishers are gonna want to just remaster everything. So, but yep, but good show tonight. Great topics, and 1 week closer to Halo.
Exactly, my friend. The excitement is there, and I gotta look for that fear, for sure. Moving on down the list, Centurion. Buddy, I loved your different opinions on the various topics. Great insight, of course. Where can everybody follow you at, my friend?
Thank you, gentlemen. It was an awesome show. Hopefully my different opinions weren't a couple of head turners for... I try to be opinionated, but also respectful. But for those who do want to check out my content and hear my crazy opinions, please follow me at Centurion1307 on YouTube, Xbox Live, and of course Twitter. You can find me every Saturday night on the Shop Podcast and every Sunday night right here on the TXR Podcast.
All right, well said. And General MLD, buddy, my other huge Halo fan, Halo nut, if you will. Where can everybody follow you at, bud?
Thank you. At MLD Ghost is my Twitter. Very active there. Also, General MLD for YouTube. And let's see what Xbox brings next week. But as we all know, there's no shortage of games to play right now. Something for everybody. I'll be torn between Halo, Forza, and some BC games I want to discover. So it's a great time to be an Xbox gamer, guys. So looking forward to next week.
Indeed. And to round out things here on the cast, this is Invader. You guys can follow my content over on YouTube at Invader Gaming. I will be posting content on there soon, I promise. Just lots and lots of things coming up, like, Halo drops and so on. Man, it's just hard to pump out videos when there's so much to game, like, all the stuff that we talk about. But anyways, guys, it was a great chat tonight, and have a good night, everyone, and we hope to see you all here on the next episode next week. Talk to you later, guys. Peace out.